On this episode, we're having a festival face-off where we compare Epcot's year-round celebrations. Today's January 10th, 2025, and this episode's 736 of the Main Street Magic Podcast.
Jeremy and Rhonda are more than a little fond of Disney World, so they made this podcast to share it all with you. Reports and resorts, top 10 lists of all sorts, Main Street Magic's bringing it home for you.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Main Street Magic. I am your host, Jeremy Stein, and as always, I'm joined by my lovely wife, Rhonda.
Hey guys! Make sure you check us out on the web at mainstmagic.com, as well as follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at mainstmagic, and on TikTok at MSM Podcast.
If you want to be part of the community and join the conversation, in addition to live streams from the parks and our weekly live show, head to Facebook and search for the Main Street Magic community and ask to join.
And don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you can get brand new episodes every Tuesday and Friday.
Planning a trip to Disneyland or Walt Disney World can be overwhelming and at times just downright frustrating. But don't worry, because Mouse Dining removes the frustration of booking Disney dining reservations, alerting you when they spot availability for your desired restaurant, date, meal, and time. Visit msmfriends.com to use this free service. Want to get a free Disney e-gift card up to $250? Book a qualifying Walt Disney World or Disneyland room or package through our preferred travel partner, MEI-Travel, and get a Disney e-gift card valued up to $250. This offer is valid for bookings made between January 2nd and February 28th, 2025 for travel check-in dates through August 31st, 2025. Certain restrictions apply. Visit mainstmagic.com/travel for a fee-free, no-obligation quote today.
Well, I apologize for the late coming out today.
It's all the snow.
I started to say it's all the weather, and then our daughter is turning 17 in 2 days.
That is crazy. It's been busy around here, right?
Yeah, we've been doing a bunch of things, but
here we are.
Here we are.
We're
staying
gonna do
warm
today. We're trying to stay warm. I know it's cold all over the eastern and I guess southeastern areas even. We're waking up to 37 degrees temps and stuff, which is cold for Florida. So,
it is
and
cold.
everybody up north is thinking differently.
Yeah, my parents are getting snow.
Yeah.
Chuck and Amy are getting snow.
I know.
Getting pictures. I love it.
Let's see if we get any flurries. It's possible, but
I don't think we will.
Probably not. So, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna warm y'all up today, and we're gonna talk about all of the festivals that are pretty much almost year round now. We do get a break during summer. Epcot, Diet Epcot, I should say, is back during the summer, the way it used to be before COVID occurred. Yeah. You know, because that's the thing. It used to not be these year round. We used to always have summers off from them. And then coming out of COVID, they extended everything, and people got so used to it that last year, when they announced the food and wine dates, everybody was like, "What? Why is it not starting 2 weeks after Flower and Garden?" And so we'll see how they keep going with those. But we're going to go over each of the festivals, each of the categories of them, and then we're going to kind of pick our favorites in each. And this should prep you for the entire year. So if you're looking at booking that trip with Amy and MEI-Travel, and you're not quite sure maybe which festival you want to attend, if you can only do one, hopefully this will help you out a little bit. Yeah. There's still some last minute deals, obviously, if you want to make it to Festival of the Arts, as we so lovingly call farts. But, so go ahead and check that out. But we're going to start off with just a quick overview. We'll start off with the Festival of the Arts. Now, this year, this is going to run for 39 days. Yeah. It is our second shortest festival, but in, I guess, your own words, like, what is Festival of the Arts for you? Like, what is it?
Well, to me, it's amazing because you get to go around, and I mean, I'm looking around your office because we have quite a bit of art from there.
We have even more in the closet we still have to frame.
I know. I feel like we get something every year, but
I'm excited.
I love it. It's just a bunch of Disney art.
Yeah.
All around, vendors and everything, and then like. Just art, like down to the
food.
I don't want to get ahead.
I know. We don't want to get ahead of ourselves, so that's kind of the overview. But let's just say it is food meets art.
Yeah,
right. That'd be the best way to put it.
And this is where I always like to say, like, it is only 39 days, And then, if the lines seem a little longer, this is the art part of it where it might take a little longer because they're trying to make it pretty and Instagram worthy and all the pictures. So don't be upset if the line's a little bit longer.
Yeah, pack your patience for farts, I'd say, as we all should any day of the week. But Flower and Garden is, I guess what would you say about this? This will run 90 days this year.
Yep.
This is our longest festival now that they've shortened Food and Wine. This is, garden and fresh. And, this is using...
The
topiaries are amazing.
Love them.
Yeah, and the food is using fresh ingredients. It's using things you would find in the garden. And it's very seasonal to the spring and all.
Yeah.
We get on to Food and Wine. This is ran 87 days last year.
Oh, wow.
So that is the shortest it's been in quite some time, as we had mentioned, as they started to cut this a little bit shorter. This is probably the most popular.
Yes, it is.
So if you are looking to plan for a festival this year, and it is Food and Wine, you'll want to follow some of our tips that we're probably going to give you here in a little bit, just so it doesn't get too crazy. To me, Food and Wine has changed so much, and we'll talk about that in one of the later categories. Then we end with Festival of the Holidays. That is going to showcase the holiday traditions, not only down to the decor, but the food.
Yeah.
So
a lot of sweets.
Sweets.
This time.
Yes.
And usually it is the shortest when it last year ran 31 days. But it's fun.
Yeah.
I love it.
Out of those 4 and the days that we have, is there a change you would like to see in schedule? Is there something you wish was extended? I
think I would like to see Festival of the Holidays extended, but it's hard to do that.
Yeah. You have to cut other things short. The only way they could really do it is to go back to that year round and have it during the summer. So what you could do is you could start, just say Flower and Garden 1 month later. That gives you an extra month at Festival of the Arts. And then you could almost, if you're now starting Food and Wine again earlier, like end of July, beginning of August, you almost could cut that short right after Halloween, knowing that that's when they start decorating. That's the one thing I wish they would maybe do with Festival of the Holidays, is go ahead and make it pair up with the actual holiday decor that starts coming out as early as November 1st.
Yes. Yeah.
So if you started this festival, just say on November 6th or whatever, you could have almost 2 full months to enjoy it during the whole holiday season. So that's the one thing I think if they made one change, as much as I love Festival of the Arts and I wish it would be longer, I think I'd like to see that for International Festival of the Holidays, because I think it's the most overlooked festival out of all of them. All right, let's talk about a couple tips real quick, and we go over these every year when we do the festivals, but we want to go over them again because this really helps folks plan. What is one of the biggest things when you're contacting Amy? What are you looking at? What's most important here?
Well, that would be the location and choosing your resort.
Yeah.
So location is key, especially for that if you're going to go multiple days.
Which you usually need to if you want to accomplish everything. So what areas do you like to stay in, or do we like to stay in, I should say?
Well, preferably, I would love to stay at the boardwalk area of that section, talking about beach, yacht, boardwalk, even Swan and Dolphin, because it's just a pretty short walk, depending on where you're staying. The longest would be probably Swan and Dolphin or Swan Reserve.
Yeah, and we loved Swan Reserve.
We did.
And you can extend past there, especially if you're looking for a value. Look at Pop Century. Look at Art of Animation.
And then that's your Skyline.
Yeah.
So
obviously Riviera at the deluxe level on Skyline, but if you're trying to make the most for your money, Riviera may not be it, but you also have Caribbean Beach. So you can go ahead and look at those. You really want to plan ahead for this because there is a lot of stuff. So
we were just talking about that before we got on, because I was like, are we going to read the menus? I want to know what's new, and I'm excited.
Yeah. So what we'll do for anyone who is looking forward to us talking about the menus for Festival of the Arts, we're going to do that on the 21st. We will be there opening day, January 17th. We'll be there we'll be there. The 17th is opening. We arrive on the 16th through January 19th. So we'll get a couple days of Festival of the Arts to try as much as we can.
Yay.
And we'll come back that following Tuesday. We'll give you a full report, rundown. You still got more than 3 weeks left to enjoy it all. So you can get prepped by doing things like listening to the Main Street Magic podcast.
Of course.
You can go out to our website at mainstmagic.com. We are so excited to have John Self now on board of the Main Street Magic team, who will be writing for us.
Yeah.
So again, hit mainstmagic.com and our social channels at mainstmagic. That's where the articles will go out. That's where we will post all about them. And it's really great to have John on board. First of all, he has a ridiculously extensive knowledge of food in general around the country and all, but obviously specific to theme parks. And what this is going to do also is it's going to be able to bring in content for us from some of the areas outside of Disney, Universal, SeaWorld, Busch Gardens, because he's going to be able to help us cover those types of things as well. So very, very excited to have John on board.
Yes.
When you arrive, what you may want to do is get a festival passport at the front, take 5-10 minutes and just sit and kind of look through it and come up with a little bit of a game plan, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. What's another tip?
Well, if you can, visit during the weekdays, because these weekends are locals and it gets super busy.
It does.
And after 4 especially too.
Yes.
So if you can come weekdays or even during the time in the mornings where you rope drop basically and start at 11 where they open.
Yes. That honestly is key. I think one of the best tips is to be ready at 11 to start hitting these food kitchens. You will get a jump start on many folks, especially if it is during the weekday.
Yep.
Now, a Saturday, a Sunday, 11 might not do you as good, but it's still going to be beneficial. You want to steer clear of normal dining hours, again, outside of that rope drop. But in general, 11 to 2, so if you show up at 1, you think you might want to wait a little bit till that mid-afternoon. And then dinner time, of course, is when people are going to be hitting it even more.
Right.
We always recommend you share dishes. Sharing is caring.
Yep. It's so awesome when we have other people with us.
It's a lot of fun.
To share and then get different people's opinions.
Yeah.
I love going to Italy and sharing with everybody because, if I'm like, oh, this really isn't good. What do you think?
Right.
Yeah.
And
then, or, oh, it has potential, but those fun things.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, not only
you get to taste more.
Yeah, exactly. Not only does it give you the opportunity to taste more, but as Rhonda's saying, just the conversation with your friends and family is just fun. People gather around food. Even if you're someone who is like, well, I don't really care about food, I don't, whatever. The simple fact is you're still most likely gathering around a table with other people many, many times throughout the year. And so it is a gathering moment. And if all you're eating is chicken tenders and fries, that's fine, but still communal and it's still social. And it's the same thing here. I mean, some of the best times I think we've had is when we've even just not even planned, opening a Food and Wine, when we ran into Scott and Michelle and Greg and John and Panda. And we spent a majority of the day with them touring these food booths. And it's really interesting too, to get other people's opinions on different things.
Yep.
So I love doing that. What is one of our favorite things to do and get? And I am excited this year. Figment, of course, will be back on it. What do we get every year?
We get the little wristlet gift cards.
Yeah.
So, we get we'll have some cash we'll set aside and figure out, all right, this is how much we're going to want to spend on food. So we'll get it. We'll go straight to a place to put that cash on this gift card. And it's nice, you just use it every time you go, and it's just great.
Yeah, and it's a great way to budget.
Yeah.
If you say, all right, here's our budget going to Disney for resort, for merchandise, for food, you might want to look at a slightly separate festival budget. You might say, all right, we're going to allot $200 today only to this festival. We're going to buy a separate wristlet gift card. We love the wristlets because they're so easily accessible. Just watch. It's all dependent on how they're designed. I swear they change them every time.
I wonder what that's going to be this year.
They need to stick to something that works, because sometimes they have a metal clasp that holds the wristlet together. it will fall off. Sometimes they have these plastic ones that are almost like buttons. They hold a lot better. We've always said, as dumb as it sounds, if you can, bring like a little tape or something, and you might want to actually tape around that connection point so you don't lose the gift card. Of course, register at DisneyGiftCard.com as soon as you get it. So in the case that it does fall off your wrist or get misplaced, you can immediately go on to DisneyGiftCard.com and transfer that balance to another gift card.
Absolutely.
We cleaned out our master closet after the holidays.
It
It
was the master.
Yeah, it was the master.
I thought you were
closet.
talking about the office. I'm like, what'd you?
No, I did the office.
Yeah.
Whew, that was something. But I found all of our past festival gift cards, wristlets. There were somewhere around, I want to say 20 of them.
Oh my goodness.
I think what I'd love to do is just go. I'm just going to go one time, wear all of them up my arm, just put like $5 on each of them. Would that be annoying?
Yeah.
That would. All right. You want to prioritize your must-try booths and activities. So when you're looking at that plan, you really do want to, if Mexico, which we love year after year, festival after festival, we don't want to get there and be like, we'll just start in Canada and work our way around, because we might not make it to Mexico.
Right.
So if Mexico is number one on your list, you need to prioritize that, put it at the top and say, that's where we're going to start. And not that we recommend jumping from point to point. It still is obviously makes sense to do a lap.
Right.
But you might want to go, all right, here's 10 dishes we want to try. These first 5 are our must tries. So as you make your way around, hit those first 5 first. You know what I mean? You might skip over a few booths that you want to double back and do again on a second lap. But that way you don't get halfway through and go, oh, we're so full, or we're out of money because we didn't budget properly.
Right.
Now we don't get to try a couple of the ones we really, really wanted.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Let's move on now to each of the categories. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about each category, and then Rhonda and I are each going to pick out of the 4 festivals which one is our favorite within that category. All right, so first, we're going to go into what is probably the most important, the food kitchens and the offerings that are there. Do you want to talk about, let's run through, and we can discuss these specific dishes, some of the highlights from each of the festival each year. We selected 2 that are some of our favorites and some of John Self's favorites from the past years. So let's start with Festival of the Arts.
And we're going to go with the deconstructed BLT, which is pork belly, soft poached egg, onion bread pudding, watercress,
Espuma.
and tomato jam at the deconstructed dish.
I got your back, babe.
Thanks. Now, previously at the deconstructed dish was the amazing French onion soup.
Yeah. Shout out to Steph.
Oh,
That
so
her and
good.
we were just texting about that dish yesterday.
Aw.
It was amazing. It was literally a giant ravioli
It was.
filled with French onion soup.
Yep.
And it was insane. You basically broke open this ravioli that then just spilled French onion soup into the dish, and you had this pasta. It was amazing.
It was
But
really
the
good.
BLT is
The BLT
really,
is
really
very,
good.
very good as well.
The one thing we have said in the past, and we had an article just drop this morning about some of the favorite dishes that ourselves and John are looking forward to. And John does recommend we do as well. Some of these dishes you may want to try more than once. And
100%. I've
unfortunately,
always said
sometimes
that.
the deconstructed BLT is that way. A lot of it depends on the specific piece of pork belly that you get.
Yep.
The way that it's cooked, and sometimes that poached egg can really come down. Sometimes it's almost like a hard poached, and it's not quite as good. You want some of that runny egg. So this, and along with the lamb chop in Australia, those are
The
some
risotto.
The risotto, it can be hit or miss. I'll tell you, anything with pork belly has sometimes been hit or miss.
Yeah.
So, but it is worth it when it hits. What's the other one that I will eat multiple of? Possibly will have to count using 2 hands this year, because I always do.
And that is the chorizo and potato empanada with turmeric aioli, annatto aioli at.
You want me to take this one from you?
Uh-huh.
I got you. Annatto aioli at Vibrante and Vivito. This is the Encanto booth
Yes.
that was introduced several years ago.
Yes.
This thing I love.
Yes. It was really good.
Absolutely love it. Sometimes this tends to be better a little bit earlier in the day, and I believe in the past that they would sometimes open this up earlier for a breakfast.
Yes,
empanada. Remember, they used to do a
yes.
breakfast empanada prior to this.
I do remember
and that was
that.
always very, very good. This one is much better. If I can't remember which festival it was at the it was the Jamaican beef patty. And remember, though, you bit into it was this nice big fluffy pastry, but when you bit into it, remember it had almost like a slight beef, almost like hamburger patty in it, and there was all this air around it. So it was this big fluffy pastry. You bit into it, and this tiny little beef patty, but it was delicious. This thing is full. It is so good. It's got this ground chorizo, the little bits of potato. I love this.
Yes, so good.
Let's go on to the Flower and Garden Festival. We are going to include a vegetarian dish for y'all, which was a standout for us last year.
Oh, it was so good. And this is the biscuits and gravy with Impossible chicken fried steak and Impossible sausage gravy at Brunchcot.
I really and truly believe... Now, the texture of that chicken fried steak obviously can be a little bit different, but I think if this has enough of the gravy on it and you put this in front of someone, they would be very, very hard-pressed to tell you that this was a vegetarian dish. Like, I don't think they could at all.
But I bet if you put it in front of Jossie, she'd be like, "This ain't right."
Oh yeah, no, totally. And I believe it is vegetarian, not vegan, because I'm not sure if the gravy obviously probably has some form of dairy in it.
Yeah.
So you do want to look for that. What was the other one there that I actually enjoyed watching the evolution of this dish? From, you remember the first time they introduced it, from
Yes,
opening day to even the second day, we saw changes being made.
And I knew this was coming, so I kind of waited to talk about it. But we're talking about the chicken and waffles. This is crispy chicken and honey sweet cornbread waffle with whipped honey, butter, and spicy honey at the Honey Bistro. This is the one that they had to change a little bit because in the beginning it just kind of fell apart.
Yeah, the waffle portion did, and it was delicious.
Oh, it was.
But we saw even the second, and this is what's cool as someone who just, I like seeing this stuff, and I like seeing the evolution of foods and all.
Right.
You know, it's one thing to do all these items in a test kitchen, right? Which is what they do.
Right.
They test, they develop. The chefs are doing their thing all year long, getting prepped for these. It goes great in the test kitchen. It's wonderful. Then you put it in the actual atmosphere, the live atmosphere, and you have to do this in bulk, right? And so you got to go, all right, now we got to feed X number of people an hour instead of making one or two beautiful dishes to share amongst the chefs and try.
Right.
So what happened was they actually changed the second day the way that waffle was composed so it didn't fall apart. So it was a little bit of a denser waffle, but it was still really, really good.
It was.
We actually made this at home one time, and absolutely love this thing. All right, let's move on to the Food and Wine Festival. This is a favorite of ours. This is also a favorite of Greg Gately's.
Yes.
We didn't get one this last time.
I know. Why didn't we?
Man, I don't know what it was about food and wine this year that just seemed like it just went. You know, maybe because we were so used to it extending
Right.
the years prior to being so long. It was like 120 days or something. And now, we got cut down to under 90, which is still a lot, but I don't know why.
We probably had other food
We
plans.
did. Yeah. And we
then
never got
sometimes
this.
we
But
just
Greg
get-
did.
Yeah, we just
And
get
it is
too
always
full.
delicious. What is it?
And we're talking about the roasted warm water lobster tail with garlic butter at Coastal Eats. It's so good.
Yeah.
I mean, you think too, like, seafood, you're nervous. Like, no, it's always amazing.
Yeah.
So good.
It is outstanding. And it's a good little half portion like lobster tail. It is buttery. It is lemony. It's grilled. It's
and usually they
amazing.
have oysters too.
Yes. Yeah. They'll usually do like oysters Rockefeller and they're
good.
grilling them right in front
So
of you. They're
good.
shucking them fresh. It's wonderful. We would no longer be allowed to have a podcast about Disney if we did not mention the cheddar cheese and bacon soup
Oh, yeah.
served with a pretzel roll at Canada.
Yeah, and it was so exciting because we got to eat it before it left, and it was actually a very chilly
It was.
Florida day. So
Yeah.
it was just perfection.
Yeah.
And then it was great because didn't we each get our own? Like
We
it was
each
our,
got our
own little
own.
lunch.
And we each got our own steak.
Yeah.
The filet mignon that they do. And it was wonderful. That's when we ran into Liv. And,
Yeah, it
and
was
we all
awesome.
got one and we
Yep.
sat and it was just amazing. And now if you are here in, September and it's 107 degrees outside, but it's your only trip to Food and Wine and you're thinking, I don't want hot soup, just eat it.
Yeah.
You're like, go take it and then go in somewhere with air conditioning if you have to.
Yeah.
This soup is absolutely amazing. And it's such a great way. This soup and this steak is such a great affordable way to get Le Cellier
Yep.
without spending that money. I mean, we literally had lunch.
Yeah.
A nice cup of soup with a
I
full
was
pretzel
actually
roll
full.
and a nice, probably 2 ounce or whatever, little filet mignon medallion. And it was just wonderful. All right, let's finish up here with Festival of the Holidays, and then we will vote on which one has our favorite foods. Let's start with the Empanada de Pollo at Las Posadas Holiday Kitchen. You know, we love all the Mexican dishes every year.
Yeah, we do.
Outside of their margaritas, and heck, I don't even know if there's a dessert we haven't enjoyed. But
Yeah.
their savory dishes knock it out of the park every single year.
Absolutely.
Love it here. And then what was the one that we actually had with John this past time? And this is one that is a festival favorite for sure that was new this past year.
Yes, and that's the XO fried rice at Shanghai Holiday Kitchen. And this was really, really good. And it fed 4 of us,
It did.
basically.
I know, we all
and
split it. It was a
we
good
all
portion.
Yeah, and it was. So this would have been another nice, thing to do and have, a little lunch.
Yes, agreed. Yeah, this could be splittable, I think, between 2 people even sometimes. All right, so between all of the festivals, as far as food goes, which one gets your vote for your favorite? I got to go Festival of the Arts. It has some of my favorite dishes, but also I just love the art portion of it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pick Festival of the Arts.
I think I'm going to pick Flower and Garden.
Okay. So you're going to go Flower and Garden. So I'm just making notes so we can see in the end what we each think.
Okay.
All right, let's move on next to our live entertainment offerings. What does Festival of the Arts get?
They get the Broadway concert series.
Yeah, this is really cool. So this is Disney stars on Broadway that come here and they pair up, and they'll come from different musicals. Like, you could have someone from Beauty and the Beast and Frozen, and they pair up and they perform Broadway hits of Disney classics from the musicals.
Yes, they do.
Right there in American Gardens Theater. It's very, very cool. We walked past, oh my gosh, I don't know her name, who was in Freaky Friday, the mom in Freaky Friday, remember?
Yes,
was performing last year. We kind of walked by and we watched a little bit.
Yeah.
I really want to try and make it a point to sit and watch an entire performance this year. It's the only one out of the live entertainment that we've never just put our butts in a chair or a bench, I should say, there and just watched.
Yep.
So let's take a look at it and then let's see which one we want to do, because we will have 2 different visits during this very short run that we could try and check it out.
Okay.
Let's move on to Flower and Garden Festival. What do we have there? Have we ever
Garden
been to one of
Rocks.
these? We went to one of these, didn't we? Have you ever been to Garden Rocks? You been there?
We go every
Pretty good.
year because
I know.
of Blue October.
And we'll be back this year in March. So very excited for that. That is the March 14th, 15th, I
They
believe.
have a lot of bands and a lot of
They do.
really cool things. So
Yeah, they get some wonderful bands coming in there from the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s. Now, the way it tends to work, and there was some shift after COVID, one of those being, honestly, with Blue October moving to Garden Rocks. Garden Rocks traditionally tends to be a little more towards the 70s to maybe early 80s
Okay.
groups. Then Blue October kind of falls outside of that mold right now. But for food and wine, what is available?
Eat to the Beat, which is more bands again.
Yeah, I'd say like more 90s to 2000s bands. So you'll see ones, not Blue October now, but like Simple Plan, Hanson. I'm trying to
funny.
think of who else.
So
Yellow
cool.
Card last year was a huge one. So you'll see more of those types of bands. And again, those are some big name bands for a air quote free concert, because it's included with your cost of admission.
Correct.
And then finally, what is the Festival of the Holidays live entertainment that we have also attended quite a few times, haven't we?
Yes, and that is your candlelight processional
Yeah.
with all the different star readers, storytellers of the.
Yeah, we caught Josh Gad this past year, was so good. Ralph Macchio, of course, was amazing.
Yep.
Just absolutely love this. Neil Patrick Harris, of course, is our favorite year after year. Now, with all these being said, I think we all know what I'm going to pick,
Yes.
which is currently Garden Rocks.
Yes.
Sorry, guys. I'm just going to pick whatever Blue October's playing at. So
And I'm going to do candlelight processional.
I thought you were. So you are going to get a vote for Candlelight Processional. I will say, and we've said this plenty of
So
times,
great.
religious, not religious, whatever it is, Candlelight Processional is just something that I think is so cool and everybody should experience. Like, I would even take Rob there. All right. let's move on to our scavenger hunts. What are the scavenger hunts, Rhonda, if anybody's new to the show or new to the festivals?
Well, that is a fun little thing for the kiddos or even the adults. It kind of makes you slow down through the countries. You can go to usually right when you come in on the Spaceship Earth.
There's
side.
that shop on the left. You can find it in any of the port of entry shops, and then most of the festival areas around. These hunts are usually, I think, $9.99.
It depends.
Usually around the rate of them.
Yeah, it depends. You do get pass holder discount, and I think it depends on their price.
Yes, it does.
But it's super fun, and usually they're little figurines of things that you go finding.
Yeah, so like for example, Festival of the Arts, which is coming up, is Figment's Brush with the Masters.
Now these are pictures.
Yes, these are paintings.
Paintings, yes. But that's super cool because it is neat to find.
I think this is the most challenging of the four because they are the paintings. I don't know where they are this year because we'll have to go look around. But do you remember the one that used to sit way in the back by Christopher Robin's room? Like that was one of the hardest ones to find, right? But it's Figment put into all like Figment as Mona Lisa, Figment as the Scream, like Figment put into all these classic paintings, and you have to go around and find them. And honestly, they blend so well. That's what makes these, I think, the most difficult.
Yeah.
What do we have for Flower and Garden Festival?
Spike's Pollination Nation Exploration, and this is cute because it's a little Spike the Bee, little figurine.
Adorable.
I love him.
They're placed throughout some of the topiaries, the gardens. These are a lot of fun to find. I think this is the cutest of all four. So if you're determining which festival you want to go to based on the cutest scavenger hunt, you might want to go ahead and put Flower and Garden on your list.
And this is also Flower and Garden's the time of the bees that they come out.
What should you do to bees,
Be
Rhonda?
nice to them because
bees.
they don't sting.
Yeah, don't mess with them. They won't mess with you.
Yeah.
But if you mess with them, they're going to sting you, and you deserved it. So, what about Food and Wine Festival? Who is our star at Food and Wine?
Remy's Ratatouille Hide and Squeak. And again, these are cute little figurines that you can find Remy holding different things of food.
Yep.
Super cute.
And finally,
my favorite.
Festival of the Holidays. Oh, you can't say that yet. What do we get?
Olaf's Holiday Tradition Expedition, which again, these are figurines, which I wish, because every single one, he's on a sled.
Yeah.
I wish they would just make
do this for all of them.
Well,
I think if you sold little figurines of Spike the Bees, of the Remy's, and then save the Olaf ones for ornaments, I think they would sell like hotcakes.
Yep, because we would buy one. We would have how many? 12?
Yeah. Yeah. I think somebody should do it's not going to be us. Somebody should do a podcast on where sayings come from. Like it sells like hotcakes. I don't know where that personally comes from. Someone will let us know.
Well, hotcakes used to be pancakes.
Right. But where were they selling so fast at? Where there had to be a moment that it occurred that became a phrase, right? Like, why are pancakes selling so quickly?
Because it's dough mixed with water. I wonder if somebody spilled some and then they were like, oh, wait, this cooks and... Oh,
you think hotcakes were accidentally invented and they became so popular that people lined up for them? That could be. Again, if anybody knows, we had an aviation person reach out to us about the Disney Springs aerofoil balloon and its height and restrictions and all. We have a lot of people that are much, much more intelligent than us that listen to the podcast. Yeah. You know, we got Alan if we ever need weather-related things. We now have an aviation authority. We got a foodie guy in John. If we can get maybe some sort of saying, somebody who knows the history of where things came from, if you could let me know about that one, and I also want to know about soup to nut. That's a weird one to me, too.
Okay. So. But all we have to do is look it up. You know that, right?
But the problem is, when this episode ends, I will have forgotten everything
I'll try
we
to
talked
remember.
about. We need to start just tallying notes through an episode on things that Jeremy needs to research. So, obviously, I think we're both picking Festival of the Holidays, and Olaf is our favorite.
Yes, I love it.
I mean, you could basically do anything with Olaf, and it's going to be my favorite. You know, this could be like paper Olafs that are just stuck on a wall somewhere, and this would still be my favorite because it's Olaf. I love them. So Festival of the Arts getting.
If you had to do a number 2, though, I would totally pick Spike.
I would too. I really would. Spike also, I think they blend in so well. Like, okay, little thing. Usually the Olaf and the Remy's are very close to the festival booths. Sometimes they will be on the festival booth.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
We already mentioned that Figment is kind of hard because of those paintings and the way that they blend in. Spike is too. You know, and it's not like these are a foot tall Spike the Bees. They're maybe 5-6 inches, I think. They're not incredibly big, and they really place them well throughout. They're on little like poles, so he's like just hovering in between gardens and
cool.
stuff, and it's just absolutely amazing. Let's move on to our strolls. What the heck is a stroll?
Those are the fun, like, food
scavenger hunt? Yeah,
hunt, I
kind
would
of.
say.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say.
Yeah.
There's
Because-
let's say this. There's specific items
Yes.
that if you eat those items,
You get a stamp.
yep, in your book,
And
your
then
passport.
at the very end of collecting all these stamps, which is 5, then you get a free
Yeah.
prize.
Redemption. Yeah, call them redemption prizes.
prize. And you
which will
never
be
know
a
what it's
food
gonna
related
be.
item though.
Yes.
So when you hear the word free in the same sentence as the word Disney, I think it's something you should partake in. Now, what I really like that they did, remember it used to be 5 items, 5 stamps. Now often it's like 8 items, 10 items. So
Which
you can
is
kind of
nice
pick and choose.
because some people probably
Yeah.
wouldn't. Well, I don't want that one.
Right. You might
So-
not want everything. So we'll start with Festival of the Arts coming up. That is the wonderful Walk of Colorful Cuisine. These are artistic, colorful dishes. These are both
Very
sweet
pretty.
and savory. Like
Yes.
one of them is that cake that is, I don't know the exact name of it, but it's got blues in it and reds in it. It's like a layered cake with different, it looks like a piece of art.
Yes.
So it's different things like that.
Yep.
What do we have at Flower and Garden Festival?
We have your garden graze,
Mm-hmm.
which is savory and sweet as well.
Yep, that is always a fun one. I mean, they're all, I like all the strolls, but it's going to come down to which items we like the best.
Yeah.
Food and wine.
Food and wine is Emil's fromage montage, which all of it is cheese.
Yes.
But it's, I mean, again, so good.
And here's the thing about cheese. This can be sweet and savory. You know, this isn't just like strictly cheese dishes.
Right.
You know, it can be everything from a cheesecake to something that has an incorporation of cheese within it. So I do like the variation here. Now, the one that gets super specific is Festival of the Holidays.
Right.
And what it has is in the name.
Right. And it's a cookie stroll.
Yeah.
And it literally is nothing but cookies.
Yeah.
And they're all sweet, of course. You know, this year they sold out of the cookie boxes that you
Oh,
got
my goodness, yeah.
That was crazy. Glad we got one.
Yeah, the Sharps container boxes, the big red cookie things. And then, I mean, it was, you know, we didn't take it back because honestly, it carrying the thing around is dumb.
It's
This thing was huge. It was not designed for that. They sold out. They didn't bring them back. But we reused it at home for treats that we would make at home.
Yes,
it
we
holds
did.
a lot of cookies that you make at home.
Yes, we did.
So with all that being said, are you savory? Are you sweet? Are you a little bit of both? Which one are you picking out of these? I know my pick.
I think I'm going to do the Festival of the Arts, actually.
You are. Okay. All right.
Because it's a wonderful walk of color cuisine, and it's really neat and pretty, and like, yeah,
It's a fun one. You know, I think I'm surprised I'm going to go cookie stroll.
really
I just,
out of all of it.
yeah, I don't know why. I love the cookie stroll. It has a different feeling to it.
Okay.
Like for some reason,
fair.
all right, here's the deal. The other 3, in my opinion, are easy to get because they're all items you're probably just going to eat anyway. Not everybody goes for one day and says, I'm getting 5 cookies, but now you're forced to. It actually makes it a harder one. The other thing I like about it with the cookie jars previously, which I hope they go back to next year instead of this cookie box, you can bring them home. None of these other dishes, usually, and maybe if it's a sweet, you might be bringing it home, but sometimes that might be like a cheesecake for Food and Wine, so you might not be bringing that. Like, I love that fact that you have to do it. And also, I'm a sweets guy now. I'm admitting it. I'm coming out. The first step is admitting it, right? And that's step 1 in recovery
Sure.
of sweets. So yeah, and I'm gonna get at some point Lou, who Mangello, who also now says it's so funny because I used to say all the time he eats sweets and he's like, I'm not a sweet guy, but, and so I'm like, that was me, and now like I'm a sweet guy. So maybe Lou will come on board with the sweet guyness. So I'm going cookie stroll. And then you're going with the wonderful World of Cuisine, Color of Cuisine. All right, let's move on to activities. So these are just additional activities that are happening. All of these are included within your price of admission to Epcot. I'll start with Festival of the Arts.
Yes, and they have a chalk art, which you can watch talented artists create stunning chalk masterpieces or let kids participate in creating their own in designated areas. And it is super, super cool.
This chalk stuff will blow your mind. I mean, not only are there traditional 2D, just incredibly drawn chalk characters, there's also always going to be these 3D perception where you have to stand at a certain point.
And they have a place for you to stand, and you can take pictures. It's really,
and they literally
really
look
cool.
3D. I mean, I'm sure people have seen them online and whatever from other areas if it wasn't Disney, but very, very cool. And then I enjoy the interactive mural, right? Like what's that?
This is a large, like, giant paint by number, basically.
Exactly
mural.
what it is, yeah.
And you can go and get your little paint cups and paint brush, and, you know, they'll tell you, I think it's 5 that you get to paint. And then, it's just, and then they'll give you a little card of what it's supposed to look like. It's really cool. And then throughout Festival of the Arts, they have tons of like art you can walk into and take pictures.
Yes. Those photo ops are really cool.
Those are really cool.
Like, again, you can step inside of, is it Edward Munch? The Scream painting. You literally step inside that frame with the background, just saying, and you get to do the Scream.
Yeah.
I would call it the Home Alone, but, you know, if I painted it today. What do we have available at the Flower and Garden Festival? I mean, of course, you mentioned the topiaries. Like,
yes.
I would have to say that I think the most famous and well-loved, if we want to call it activity, out of every single festival is the topiaries, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And then, of course, you got the butterfly house, which is so fun to go through.
That's really cool.
It is. It's a tent, and, you know, it has where they can't get out, little beads to walk through. And they're live butterflies with, like, where the babies are, like, what do you call them? The worms that turn into butterflies.
Little caterpillars.
Yeah.
Yep. And you've got, and you can see the is it
the
chrysanthemums?
I don't know.
I don't know either. We're not
I'm
garden
not butterfly people.
But man, butterflies would not have done well in the 60s and 70s. There were beaded curtains everywhere. Like, you'd be a butterfly, and for, like, it was the times, right? And maybe you're listening to Jimi Hendrix or whatever. You're a big Jimi Hendrix butterfly fan, and for Christmas you want beaded curtains for your door, right? So you go in your room, you're all excited, you put them up. Guess what? Can't get out now. You're stuck in your room for the rest of your life till you die. That's awful.
Okay.
All right, let's move on to the Food and Wine Festival, which I'm just going to say it stinks now. You know, right now, our biggest thing is probably the Muppet Brew Wing Lab, which is super cool. You go in, there's Muppet stuff everywhere. They've got wings that are so hot that only Rachel's boyfriend can eat them. This used to blow your socks off with culinary demonstrations, with, I know it was paid, but Party of the Senses. Like, what are they doing with food and wine?
Nothing.
Why are you not bringing this stuff back? And you know, we've had 5 years now for you to bring this stuff back. You built a stage in a hall that is supposed to be like a festival centerpiece, and you did nothing special with it during Food and Wine. So that's not getting my vote. How about Festival of the Holidays? What do we got there? Just, like, get out of the way, Food and Wine. Your activities stink.
Well, they have the holiday storytellers, which around World Showcase, you have holiday storytellers that talk about their traditions in that country, which I find is really cool.
It's really, and this is one of the things I do love about the Festival of the Holidays, is learning the culture and traditions of other countries and stuff around the world.
Yeah.
And it goes from the storytellers down to the food. Now, again, one of the things I've said a billion times, and it proves that nobody who does the festivals listens to this podcast. I would love, and you don't have to hand it out with everyone if you're worried about cost of printing, Disney. I understand your printing budget. Maybe it's not that big, you know, maybe you don't have enough. But I would love every festival to have a card with it that has the dish, and it tells a little bit of history about why it's special to that culture, that country, whatever it may be. I think would be super, super cool. Like, you know, why are we serving tamales in Mexico? That's a tradition. Where did that come
Maybe
from?
not a card, but like we're just a stand where you can read it.
That'd be work too.
Because too many people will just not care.
And they'll throw it on the
And
ground.
they'll throw it away.
That's a
Throw
great
it-
point. Yeah.
yeah.
So maybe what you have is next to each of the
Right.
festival menus, which
Yeah.
sits out in front of it.
Yeah.
For nerds like me, you have a history of what it's about. That wouldn't take. You could put it on the same dang board. Under each description. It could be something real quick, or have a landing page, a QR code that takes you somewhere. Make it something interactive, even.
Yeah.
Somehow that you could go through each of these. So,
That'd be
with
cool.
all that being said, and that not being available, which is your favorite out of all four? Because I kind of think we're both going topiaries.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's fair. We'll
Yep.
go with flower and garden. All right. We got one last category. This is sometimes the most important. It is merchandise,
Yes,
right?
it is.
What tends to, now you're going to find Mickey and Minnie and some other, characters, Disney characters throughout all of the merchandise designs throughout the year.
Yes.
But each festival tends to have one specific that they focus on. Let's start with Festival of the Arts. And who is that?
That's usually always Figment.
Yeah. How about Flower and Garden Festival?
Usually always Orange Bird and Spike the Bee.
Yeah. Food and Wine Festival?
Usually always Remy, but then they do usually always make, I feel like.
Chef Mickey and Minnie, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes.
not just Mickey and Minnie, but they're always chefs.
Yeah.
Always cooking up something in the kitchen. What does Festival of the Holidays have? I really don't know anymore because
don't
it started
know.
with Frozen one year.
Oh, and that was
Which
the
we loved.
best. That
This-
was the best.
What would you say this last year was? Snow globes and holly? I mean, honestly, like
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
it had a design,
It
but
was
it didn't really have. I felt like an
Spaceship
overall
Earth.
theme. Yeah, Spaceship Earth. I'd say
Spaceship Earth and
Spaceship Earth, Snow
Christmas.
globe.
Yeah.
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 So, which of your is usually your favorite out of all of these? I don't.
I'm trying to remember because even going back to Flower and Garden with Orange, I'm just trying to think. 'Cause I also, when we went through not only our master closet, I went through my my clothes and
Yeah.
got rid of things, and I pulled up a whole bunch of Flower and Garden, and it was Mickey. I mean Minnie. It was
Yeah.
all Minnie.
Yeah.
So you not only do you have Orange Bird and Spike the Bee, you usually always have, and I feel like you usually always have in every festival a Mickey and a Minnie.
Yeah, and
Or
they'll be kind of themed to that festival, like we said, the
Yep.
chef, or in this case, Minnie's a gardener.
right, and it always does, and I have a lot of those. So
But they tend to
gonna
be Flower and
say-
Garden tends to be earthy tones. You know what I mean? So it's
Greens,
greens,
yeah.
it's browns,
Yep.
it's tans, it's yellows and
Pinks,
things like that, right?
light
Some
pinks.
pinks, light pinks and stuff. I don't have a problem with Figment, even though we know several people that do, and they're listening, and they're in a big group chat, and I like Figment. I like some of the stuff that comes with that. It's not usually my favorite for Festival of the Arts, but I still have a shirt. No, it's a ringer tee, and I hate ringer tees. They're the ones that have like the separate,
Yeah.
like little armbands, and
Yeah.
if I had like muscles or biceps, maybe I'd like them more because they'd fill it out. But instead, it just looks like a noodle sticking out of the thing, and it like attracts more attention, right, to that. But I have one. Do you remember? And it's got Mickey, and it's
Yeah.
almost simple, but it's like Mickey standing in front of oh my god, the easel, an art easel.
Yeah.
And he's like painting and stuff, and it's really, really cool. I really like those. I almost think I have to go. I'm gonna go Festival of the Holidays actually, even though they're not doing the Olaf and the Sven and the Frozen theme year after year. I loved this last year's merchandise. I love that Spirit jersey that I got.
yeah, that is a
The
good one.
puffy, fluffy on the bottom, and it's got a Spaceship Earth design. It's got holly, and it's got that raised puffy lettering on it. It's wonderful. So I'm going to personally pick Festival of the Holidays for this one.
And I'm thinking going between Flower and Garden and Food and Wine, because then again, I had a bunch of food and wine stuff.
See, I
But
do,
I think
do
I'm going to
too.
do Flower and Garden.
Yeah, I love the Food and Wine merch. I think it's the best merch. Unfortunately, now most all of it is alcohol driven.
Correct.
Down to just like I have one that I love and I still wear it. That's like beers around the world.
Yeah.
And I still love it and I'll still wear it and all. But now for me, it's just like, well, I'm probably not going to buy stuff that is as alcohol related as I would have in the
Right.
past. So yeah. So what did you pick then?
I think I'm going to lean more towards Flower and Garden and Festival of the Arts, like with Figment. I loved Figment when I was young. the older I got, I didn't love him. So
we have to get the bucket. You know that, right? They have a new Figment popcorn bucket. He is, and it's basically like a hot air balloon looking thing. This will be the third in the collection. You know, we had that first year that was the Figment popcorn bucket that broke the internet and Disney pretty much. Then last year we had the Imagination Pavilion one.
Yeah.
And now this year we've got this kind of hot air balloon one. So.
It's a light bulb.
Oh, is that what it was? I didn't even look at it yet.
It's not a hot air balloon.
Light bulb
it's
makes a
light
lot more
bulb.
sense, doesn't it?
And it lights up.
Yeah, you can tell how much I've looked at the
Lord
Festival
of
of the Arts
mercy.
menu so far this year. Ron and I will sit down after this and go through it. So this is very interesting for our tallies because according to us, they could just cancel food and wine and we wouldn't care because it didn't get a single vote for any category.
Oh, wow.
Which is shocking because I can tell you right now, prior to all the changes that came after the closures and with COVID, I bet food and wine would have ticked off. That doesn't make sense. Would have had marks for most of these categories. And now it just falls flat, I feel like. Because it lost all those incredible culinary demonstrations and things like that. So, Festival of the Arts, Rhonda selected 2 categories. I selected 1.
Okay.
Flower and Garden is your favorite overall with 3 wins.
Yeah.
I got 2, though.
Okay.
Festival of the Holidays, you had 2, and it's my favorite overall with 3.
Okay.
So that actually surprises me because if you had to say, without thinking of all this, if somebody came up and said, what's your favorite festival of the year? Answer.
I would probably say Flower and Garden.
Okay, I'd say Festival of the Arts.
Okay.
So, yeah. So you are right on point. I'm slightly off because I only gave Festival of the Arts 1 nod, and that was for food, which is funny because I love it. Now, you know, with activities, I guess, because you do have to pay if you want to buy it, but even just browsing the artwork, like, take your time to do that for Festival of the Arts.
And it's
even
really,
if you're not going to buy.
Well, and it's really nice because they have a lot of extra printed ones that aren't so expensive as the ones that are there painted. When you look at the ones, like, and you'll see, but if, you see one that's like $350 and you're like, oh man, well, they have one that's $40.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that
Or
up.
they have one that's like less because it's a smaller little card. We have so many that, and the one.
And they still come matted. You just need to buy a frame when you get home. Which again is most of our issue because I have several of them sitting in the closet that we need to frame.
Yeah.
But ask, like Ron is saying, if you see a piece of art and you're like, man, I love that, but I'm not dropping, $500 on a 2x3 foot piece of art.
Or maybe
they might
you
have a
can
print.
drop that
Or maybe you
$500.
can. Yeah.
I
But,
wish I could.
yeah, they may have a print. Just don't pick up any binders that have additional prints in it and start to thumb through it. The artist might yell at you, like me that one year.
You might get in trouble.
Well, we are very excited for Festival of the Arts. It is kicking off January 17th. We are heading down on the 16th. And then we will be there for the 17th. We'll be there the 18th to try all the foods.
We will be going every single day.
We will.
And we are listen, how do I say it? Do as we say, not as we do. We are not staying really close to Disney this time. We're outside.
One of the things we're gonna do a little bit more of this year, and that is with the help of Amy and MEI-Travel, is start to look at some of the other surrounding off-property areas. The one that we are doing for that weekend is the Delta, Orlando, in the Celebration area. So we have stayed at the Delta that is right there almost at the entrance to Disney Springs. And we really enjoyed that. This is a much, much larger resort. So we'll be interested to try that out. And then in February, we're gonna actually not stay on Disney property for a Disney only trip because we'll be staying at Universal for 2 nights at the new Stella Nova Resort. That opens at the end of January here. It'll have been open for about 3 weeks by the time we go to stay. But we wanted to go ahead and check that out. The pricing is incredible.
Yes.
Of course, Amy can book all Universal for you as well as Disney and anywhere in the world.
Anywhere.
So we're super excited to try that one out. We'll be doing the Holiday Inn at Disney Springs again at the end of the month for 1 night.
Yes.
We are having a meet up on January 24th at Paddlefish up on that rooftop deck bar lounge area at 5 p.m. if you want to come out and hang out with a bunch of like-minded Disney friends and fans and all. So come out and check us out there. But yeah, very excited. We'll go over, look at the menus. We'll get our list ready. We'll prepare. We'll decide our course of action. Also this year, we are going to have 2 very special guests that are going to help review alcoholic beverages for us. So Tay and Steph will be on hand, and they have been so generous to say that they will try alcoholic beverages so
All
that we
right.
can get thoughts and opinions on those. Because
Perfect.
it is, as we move forward with us not drinking anymore, we don't want that portion to go completely away, because there are a lot of folks that still want to go to Disney and have specialty drinks and beverages at the different resorts and restaurants and festivals. So we will continue to cover that the best that we can with some of the help, with a little help from our friends.
Yes, because I have made a choice to support my husband to not do it, because I know Jeremy has said that I can do it, and I can if I wanted to. But I hope y'all understand that I am not going to anymore, and I have made a choice to support my husband. And yes, we will have amazing friends help us out and do that
throughout the way.
So
yep. So that part is very, very good.
Yep.
All right. That's it for us today. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Of course, if you want all this stuff that we're talking about coming up, and we've got a lot coming up, you can go ahead and subscribe and get the brand new episodes every single Tuesday and Friday. And if you are ready for that next trip, of course, no matter where you want to go, our trusted partner, MEI-Travel, will handle the planning so you can focus on the memories. They offer free vacation planning services and have nearly 20 years of experience creating memorable vacations. Visit mainstmagic.com/travel for a fee-free, no-obligation quote today. And while you're out there, of course, we'd be so very thankful if you could please leave us a rating and review,
because it helps our show grow.
That's all we've got, and we'll see you real soon.
Jeremy and Rhonda are more than a little fond of Disney World, so they made this podcast to share it all with you. Reports and resorts, top 10 lists of all sorts, Main Street Magic's bringing it home for you.